These are the visa crackdowns and shifts in the global market that no one online is talking about. And I don't know why they're not talking about it. Maybe people are unaware, maybe people don't research, but welcome to Journey With Us. This is the channel where we do in-depth research and we bring it to you on a silver platter so that you can make the best decisions for your family in 2025 and beyond, especially if you are a Black expat who is traveling the world. So if you're thinking about traveling Africa or Asia or even like Eastern Europe in 2025, I want to be super honest with you. The visa game, the visa landscape is changing. What used to be straightforward, pack and go, just get up, everything's good, you're gonna get visa free on arrival, is turning into colliding travel bans and stricter embassy policies. New biometric surveillance systems are also in place in some of these African countries, and for whatever reason, most expats don't even realize it yet. We're living in a time of broader paranoia and geopolitical tension that's shaping how people move, live, and build new lives abroad. If you're watching from Africa, from the Caribbean, from the US, from Europe, from Asia, from South America, then here's the reality. Visa crackdowns are not just in theory, they're here. They're already impacting people across the world, okay? And I want to break this down so clearly and so precisely so that you can protect your family and avoid the heartbreak of going somewhere only to find yourself stranded or forced out. So global mobility is shifting for a few huge reasons, and I'm gonna name the top two. Number one is security risks. So remember 9/11, everything that happened during that time with the Twin Towers, all of those things. Understand that once that happened, the world essentially went into this terrorism trajectory, which showed people across the globe that terrorism could happen at any place at any time. And so countries proceeded with caution from that point. But now it's 2025 and we're entering a new age of era and restriction where it's not just about that regular terrorism that they would talk about back then. Not to say that terrorism is regular, but the old type of terrorism that they would talk about. Now it's also about pandemic controls and conflict zones because many governments are hyper-focused on knowing who is coming in. This means no more background checks, longer waits, and easier denials, especially if you are an African citizen traveling to America, especially if you are an American citizen trying to go somewhere like, for example, Namibia does not do visa-free arrival for Americans anymore. In fact, there's only a handful of countries that allow you to travel visa-free on the continent. And that's why on this channel, Journey With Us, we have also started to share other options outside of the continent because there are easier pathways to residency. Africa, I'll be honest with you, does not have the easiest paths to residency. It doesn't. It has the most diabolical, treacherous, and a lot of times corruption-filled paths. But I'm an African woman. I love Africa, and so we choose to stay in Africa, okay? And countries like Mauritius, Botswana, South Africa can make it a little bit easier than countries maybe like Tanzania, Gabon, Malawi, or something along those terms. Because at the end of the day, when we're thinking about countries, I want you to think of them as businesses. Ease to do business is so critical and so important. It's the same thing with countries, especially like Mauritius and Seychelles. They make it super easy for like everybody to come in. They make their streamlined residency processes. They have free premium visas for digital nomads. They have 10-year self-employed entrepreneur visas. Seychelles actually has a no capital required investment threshold, as well as Madagascar. But Madagascar could be riskier for other reasons because they have a high level of corruption. So you have to like balance these ideas. And this is something that we began doing in the Urgent State of the Diaspora, the first edition, which was way back in 2024 at the top of the year when we were moving from Tanzania to Mauritius. We needed to tell our community that the state of the diaspora was shifting urgently. corruption was increasing. We were starting to understand the lay of the land in Africa and really understand why some African immigrants want to go to America, to be quite honest, okay? And so we decided to share that with our community in that intensive setting with just a few other expats, okay? Now, if you've been watching and you want to join the State of the Diaspora, unfortunately, there's only like 2 spots left. And that was the 3rd edition that we had put out in a span of 2 to 3 weeks. And so I'm sorry, but we do have to move on because we have other offers and other things that are popping up, like Black Educators Amplified, which, by the way, if you have not checked out the Black Educators Amplified playlist, because I have like over 25 videos on business, marketing, freelancing, consulting, and the Introvert Marketer podcast. And hold on, I'm also on Instagram at Tiffy G Writes. In fact, I'm in more places than just Instagram. I'm actually on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, all at Tiffy G Writes. Go check it out at www.tiffygwrites.com. Follow along if you are interested in being an entrepreneur or you already are an established entrepreneur and you know you need to get your marketing together. Now, our second point is rising nationalism. I know you guys have seen this. I started to see this pattern. And again, I'm going to use the analogy of Beyonce. That's where I started to see it. Think back to 2016 era. Beyonce was covering like freedom, doing songs with Kendrick Lamar, very much like for the people. You get the drift of what I'm saying. But now in 2025, or maybe it started back in 2024. I don't keep up with pop culture, y'all. I'm sorry. I really don't. Either 2024 or 2025, she had the album where she's like on a white horse with the American flag behind her, and the new country album. And some of the themes and some of the songs were like, I'm an American, I'm proud to be an American, you know, all these things. And I was kind of like, well, what happened to the 2016 era? Was that just like for clout, or was that like, what was that? Because she stepped away from it so quickly. And I started to digest and analyze and understand, oh, this is like a propaganda machine. They are trying to influence you so that you do not think of leaving the West behind, so that you stay in the West, because they need your talents, they need your skills, they need your money, and they need your energy to be in the West, to be quite honest. We all know if America did not have Black African Americans, America would not be what it is today, okay? Like, we just know that. Like, drop an emoji in the comments, the 100 emoji, if you know that's a fact. And with us knowing this is what we even teach our children and help them to understand. Like, listen, you're gonna have better chances abroad at the end of the day, because you're going to be self-reliant, self-employed, you're gonna build businesses, you're gonna build teams, you're gonna inherit businesses, you're going to be well-traveled. And understand, studies state that people that are well-traveled are less stressed out and smarter than people who are not well-traveled. Check it out, these studies, I've been seeing them. Check out the studies because it's really interesting. Just Google it and it'll come right up, okay? Because listen, this second rising of nationalism in the West and the anti-immigration policies have become mainstream. Even countries that used to welcome skilled workers are starting to say, we don't want to see y'all here. And, you know, this is causing migrants to rethink their policies. Australia, Canada, parts of Europe, these places are tightening the criteria, or they are capping the number, okay? One example actually in Europe is Portugal. They used to do like 5 years. You could live there for 5 years and then you get citizenship. Well, guess what? Portugal just said, I'm gonna be like some of them African countries that make it a little harder. I'm gonna do 10 years. Because we don't really want all y'all here all like that. We don't really want people traveling. And me, as somebody that analyzes things, it just makes me say, okay, why don't y'all want us to travel? Let me tell you something. I'm the type of person, and I was the type of kid in school. You tell me not to do something, and I'm going to inquire about why not, and probably go in the direction of that other path to see why I should not do it, because I'm curious, okay? And so that's my logical question. Y'all clearly don't want folks to travel. Clearly, we see that, we understand that. But why? Why don't you want people to travel? You don't want people to see the world? Too much truth getting out there? People are starting to understand, look, I saw a video the other day. I forget what the channel is called. You may know the channel because I know you probably watch the same videos I do. I saw a video of a brother in Thailand, okay? A brother. And he was showing the African Thai people that were basically living in these forests in Thailand. And it's like, wow, we never knew they existed. Videos are coming out about the Siddhis people in India. Wow, we never knew they existed. There's too much truth and reality that comes into play. When you travel, there's too much self-sufficiency, too much freedom. And we know some of these systems do not want you to have that because they want to siphon your energy, okay? Now, we need to talk about the dark side of e-visas, okay? E-visas are a cute way of saying surveillance. They're a cute way of saying that they are going to watch you, they are going to track you, and it's going to get people into the one world government. This is why biometric scans are taking place more often. And at the end of the day, these e-visas, they do sound convenient, but they are going to monitor you. And many African countries now demand full biometrics for visitors, residents, and work permits, okay? Along with other countries, especially countries in Asia. And so we're kind of in this day and age where it's dicey. You have to kind of maneuver with wisdom and see, okay, where are the countries that actually have the most freedom and not just say it on paper? Because times are shifting and parts of Africa are not exempt. Now, Africa is a continent with 54 countries. And so there are hotspot countries where you can have freedom, but there's only a few of them, to be quite honest. I would say about not even 25%, I would say a good 15% of the African continent allows you to have true freedom, especially as an expat. A lot of people don't understand that when you move to Africa, and this even goes like with the cost of living, people want to move to Africa because they perceive it as being extremely cheap, okay? Yes, we moved a big portion of that reason, and the benefit is because cost of living. Even Americans cite the main reason that they want to leave the US is because cost of living. But listen, you don't know that you are an American, meaning when you come to an African country, we don't have this issue when we come to Europe, we don't have this issue when we come to Asia, because we haven't put on this like weird mindset of entitlement. I don't know why we do this in our community, but we become entitled when we are amongst other people like us, okay? It's really weird, I don't know why. But we put on this sense of an entitlement, or at least some of us do. And we come and we're like, you know, this should be a repatriation thing. Where's the repatriation society? And let me tell you, there is no repatriation society in Africa apart from what is happening in Ghana. I just had to be really, really clear. And maybe Kenya may be developing one. Maybe Senegal could develop one in the future, but from a governmental standpoint, when you move to an African country or any country in the world, you have to deal with immigration, okay? Which means you need to look at residency processes. You need to see how much they are, how long they are for. Too many times I hear people like, well, I want to live in so-and-so country, and I'm like, okay, great, what's your plan? And they're like, well, I was just gonna arrive and just kind of work it out. And that is not how it goes. Like, we have not lived in Africa for 5 years by not planning, okay? It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes you understanding the lay of the land and how you can benefit the country and how the country can benefit you. Because what you see a retired person do at 63 years old is not going to be the same strategy for a 31-year-old, because there are different residency permits. They tend to fall into a few categories: volunteer, retirement, students, work permits, and then investor and digital nomad visas. Not all African countries even have digital nomad visas. Not all African countries have self-employed entrepreneur visas the last 10 years, i.e. Mauritius, Thailand. Those are like some of the only places outside of Asia. Asia has been like the leader of those super, super good residency permits that last like 5-10 years with minimal capital requirement. Mauritius adopted that because it does have a big Asian population. And so in Mauritius and Seychelles, you can get like the best of both worlds, as well as Madagascar. This is something that you need to understand and you need to look at, because it may be fun to go and visit Gabon and Angola, but then you realize, oh, there's like not a path for me to live here. And so you traveling to a place and you living long-term in a place, two totally different mindsets, especially if you're someone that wants to stay put. You don't want to do visa runs. You don't want to pick up every few seconds and now you got to hop on a plane. Now you got to take that bus. Now you got to do that. Who wants to do that? Like, you just want to live your best life. You want to live your best life in a beautiful villa with a pool on the mountain side with people and governments that welcome you into the land, okay? And that's what we have been experiencing here. Finally, we need to talk about conflict and instability. And if you made it this far to the video, do me a favor, like it and share it with 5 people, okay? Share it with 5 people who need this information. If you have learned anything new, if you like what I'm saying to you, if you like the information that's coming out, I would absolutely love it if you just hit the like button. It should take like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit the like button, share, and consider subscribing. Like, you're watching the channel, you see the notifications, you're like, oh, Journey with Us, and then you see the title and you're like, oh, that's something I want to listen to. I want to understand what's happening, because I understand information is not fear-mongering, but knowledge and getting and understanding. Proverbs says, in all thy getting, in all of your getting, meaning in all of your work in your 9 to 5, running your business, having your family, your marriage, in all of your getting, get an understanding, especially in these last days. And that is our aim on this channel, to help you to get a comprehensive understanding of the lay of the land and these global economies, okay? But let's talk about it. Conflict and instability, because embassies are pooling staff and issuing warnings from Ethiopia to Sudan to Ukraine to Gaza to Israel to Iran to some other countries in the Middle East like Kuwait, like the United Arab Emirates. Things are changing pretty quickly. And just so you know, I don't know if you're aware, but the Israel-Iran conflict actually did not stop. President Trump said it was a ceasefire, but from what I'm seeing, they're still firing, okay? They're still firing over there, and so who knows what's gonna go down with that next week or in the next 2 weeks. But anyway, listen. All of these issues around the world are causing visa processing in these regions to slow and halter altogether. Refugee crises push other countries to limit regular migration so they can control the flow, okay? So this is the global sentiment that we're seeing and feeling in the atmosphere. Now, let's go to some real examples. If you're like, oh, that's fear-mongering, tell me where this is actually happening. Well, let me tell you, ma'am, sir. Kenya rolled out a mandatory e-visa and e-citizen platform for everything. It's streamlined, but it also means total government tracking. At any moment, they can change criteria, raise fees, or deny renewals to manage migration, okay? And we know that Kenya is currently experiencing some protests and things like that. My heart and my prayers do go out to the people of Kenya, which are my people. My heart and my prayers go out to you, and I pray for good rulership and good leadership. I have to think of the right terminology, okay? Now, Ghana has continued its year of return and beyond the return campaigns, but while short visits are easy, long-term residency requires more strict paperwork, a little bit of police checks, some bureaucracy issues, and obviously proof of income. Many African Americans assume it's easy, and it's not necessarily easy, okay? And then South Africa. South Africa faces enormous visa backlogs, enormous, okay? Work permits can take 18 months plus, and rejections are up sharply. Even amongst Americans, I mean, I have people in my circle that were like, yeah, I got denied for my South African visa. I got denied. And I'm like, oh man, that's difficult. That's a little bit of a risk. So South Africa seems like a place you kind of got to play it by ear, because here's the difference between South Africa and Mauritius. South Africa, for a lot of their residence permits, not all, but most of them, you have to be outside of the country to obtain the residence. Mauritius is not like that. Mauritius, you are allowed to be inside of the country on your tourist visa in order to obtain your multiple year residence without putting $100K in the bank. Okay, that's just that. That's the reality. Check out the Mauritius Economic Development Bank. By far, it's my favorite website of the last 2 years. I've spent lots of time on that website, and it gives you all the information you need. Now, US and European Union states have introduced stricter visa requirements for citizens from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, often citing higher security risks, okay, and health checks. Even families with money and education find themselves delayed or denied, okay? Lastly, embassy closures or partial shutdowns are in conflict zones. In the US and European embassies have reduced staff in Sudan, Ethiopia, Niger, and parts of the Sahel region. The Sahel is compromised, if you are unaware, of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Shout out to Captain Ibrahim Traore. Blessings to those people in the Sahel region, okay? And so you need to think, this means that visa processing slows to a crawl or is going to stop completely for people from or going to those regions, okay? And again, we need to talk about the hidden cost of cheap living. Expats don't understand a lot of times, not all of you guys, but a lot of you guys don't understand that when you're an expat, when you're a foreigner coming to another country as a digital nomad, as a self-employed entrepreneur, whatever residency you're getting, you are not going to live like the locals. I know people when they around us, they're like, oh my gosh, y'all bougie, y'all be doing the like. Just get in your mind, I live in reality. I know I'm not going to live like a local. I just do. I spend time with locals. I integrate with the culture, integrate with the communities that I'm in, but I understand that I am from America. I'm not going to live like a local. And on top of that, I'm an entrepreneur with 5 children and a husband, okay? It's not going to happen, to be quite honest with you. It's not gonna happen. And if you're honest with yourself up front, then you're going to be better prepared. But if you're like, well, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna eat 1 avocado and 3 strains of rice and that's it, you're not gonna do that. You're just not. If you're not already doing that in the States, you're not gonna do it in America, because at the end of the day, whatever you are doing in the United States is probably going to dictate the way that you operate when you are abroad, okay? And so even when we think about immigration in certain countries, you're gonna have to pay thousands of dollars to immigrate to certain countries, mostly in East Africa. You're gonna pay thousands of dollars. South Africa, you're gonna pay thousands of dollars. There are countries in Africa that is not a requirement, or that there is a maneuver that you can use, or they have incentives if you're in information technology, like innovation residency permits. They have these in Mauritius. They have similar ones in Seychelles and Madagascar as well. So you want to look out for some of these hidden pieces of favor that you can potentially get, but this only comes through research or being connected to an international strategist who does this all day, okay? And so lastly, we need to think about your sovereignty plan, because times are changing. Everything is getting interesting. I've been abroad for 5 years and I will continue to be abroad for my entire life by the grace of the Most High. And, I don't have any plans of returning to the West or, returning to America at the least. I don't plan to live there ever in my life again, to be quite honest, unless I was just going to stay for a year or two. But at the end of the day, you need to understand what's happening, because I do not want you to get stuck abroad without a plan. If you want to move to Africa or anywhere else in the world wisely with a focus on sovereignty, family stability, and faith-based planning, then you need to understand the signs of the times and watch what's going on across the world, because it will impact your travels in Africa and beyond. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end, that's fabulous. Go ahead and share this video with 5 people. I'll talk to you next time.